shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes, and this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world, and then shall the end come.
Tell us, when will these things be? And what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age?
Here's today's prophecy update. One of the biggest blockades to an Israeli-Palestinian peace agreement has been that Gaza is controlled by Hamas. Hamas does not recognize Israel's right to exist. Therefore, Israel has been unwilling to negotiate with Hamas. Now, Hamas and the Palestinian Authority are attempting to merge together. If this happens, it would remove one of the greatest obstacles to a peace deal. It looks like the Trump peace train is continuing at full speed. We'll tell you much more on today's edition of End of the Age. You know, I can't talk about this subject without my hair almost standing on end, because I'm dealing with the greatest prophetic fulfillment in 2,000 years when it happens. And it appears to be just ahead of us. Now, those of you who are regular listeners to this program, you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the peace agreement that is prophesied in the Bible between the Palestinians and the Israelis. And when that agreement is signed, you and I will enter the final 7 years to the return of Jesus to this earth, the physical return, and also the battle of Armageddon. It's going to be incredibly exciting. We're going to tell you some new material just developing during this program today. Before we go into our main body of text that we want to talk to you about, let me remind you that my grandson, Vince Stegall, over time has been secretly recording our devotions here every morning here at End Time Ministries. Usually there's a scripture reading, and then I will make comments just off the cuff. And sometimes we get pretty animated. We talk about a lot of things. Nevertheless, Vince was recording all these things unbeknownst to me. He compiled it into a book. The book is called Move Mountains with Irvin Baxter. And it's designed to help you overcome obstacles and eliminate fears. Fear is the biggest obstacle to us receiving from God. Now, this book ships on November the 2nd, but it's available for pre-order today. Here's the big question, of course. Why would you pre-order a book that doesn't release for another month? Well, there's a good reason. We're going to give you 9 additional items free if you pre-order. For a limited time, pre-order Move Mountains at endtime.com/move. Remember that, endtime.com/move for only $25.99 and receive free bonus items worth over $100 delivered to you immediately. So you get the bonus items immediately right now, but you'll have to wait on the book until November the 2nd. Here's what you do. Go to endtime.com/move. Why not do it today? So here we go. This article appeared just recently. I think it appeared today, actually, in the Haaretz newspaper. President Trump talking to the head of the United Nations. Netanyahu proving more difficult than Abbas in peace efforts. Here's the story. According to Western diplomats, President Trump told Guterres, the UN Secretary General, that he was optimistic about achieving a peace deal. Netanyahu, he said, knows he'll never have a more understanding president. And Abbas needs a legacy to leave behind. In a meeting last month at the United Nations with UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, U.S. President Donald Trump termed Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu the harder side to convince in his efforts to broker an Israeli-Palestinian peace deal, according to 7 Western and Israeli sources who were either present at or briefed on the meeting. Trump said both leaders are problematic, said one Western diplomat who was briefed on the meeting, but the general context was that from the two of them, Netanyahu is the bigger problem. Now, a senior White House official disputed this account. On September the 19th, Trump held a 15-minute meeting with Guterres on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly in New York. According to 6 Western diplomats and one former senior Israeli official, all of whom asked to remain anonymous, at least half of the meeting dealt with the Israeli-Palestinian issue. The Western diplomats said Trump also told Guterres that while Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas is very old, 82, and suffers from domestic political problems, yet he needs a legacy to leave behind. At 82, he's not long for his position. Would he like to mark his tenure with a special achievement? Trump thinks so. Netanyahu, in contrast, understands that he'll never have a president more understanding of Israel's security needs, and therefore there's a chance that he'll agree to steps he hasn't agreed to in the past. The president continued. Now, let's pause a moment. What does President Trump have in mind? Well, number one, the president has a Jewish son-in-law, Jared Kushner, and now a Jewish daughter, Ivanka Kushner. Also, the number one negotiator in this whole process is Jason Greenblatt, who has been the president's personal attorney for 20 years. And President Trump appointed a Jewish person to be the ambassador from the United States to Israel, David Friedman. So he is surrounded with people who are obviously pro-Jewish, but yet they're pro-peace. So President Trump says Netanyahu will never get a better setup than he has right now, and he knows it. On the other hand, Abbas is on his way out, and he's very weak politically, yet he would like to leave a legacy. What's he going to show for his 15 years of being the head of the Palestinians? If he goes out today, he'll basically show nothing. But if he could sign a peace deal, well, that would be a huge feather in his cap. He would probably leave office with a Nobel Peace Prize. Well, when he first took office, Trump added he thought the chances of making a deal were very low. But in light of his aforementioned assessments of both Abbas and Netanyahu, he now thinks there's a good chance of producing an agreement. Now, this was just September the 19th or 20th, 2 weeks ago. The Western diplomats said Guterres encouraged Trump to continue pushing for Israeli-Palestinian peace and stressed that he too thinks there's an opportunity to reach an historic deal. Guterres told Trump about his visit to Israel in August and noted that opposition leaders Isaac Herzog and Tzipi Livni had both told him they would support Netanyahu if he promoted a real diplomatic initiative. Now, let's make sure we understand this. So Herzog and Livni are opposition diplomats or politicians in Israel, and yet they say, if Netanyahu gets this deal, we will support him. If, in fact, members of his own party rebel because they don't like the terms of the agreement, some of them say, don't give 1 inch. There's not going to be a deal if there's not a trading of territory. So Netanyahu is going to give up territory, or whoever finally achieves this deal. So they know that those people in his particular party may pull the rug out from under him, which would topple his government. But the opposing party says, that's all right, we'll prop him up. They won't be able to topple him because we will vote for him in the Knesset. That's the way you remove a sitting prime minister, is you have a vote of no confidence. If he doesn't get at least 60 votes, then he goes down. Well, if some of his party pulled out, they could bring him down. However, his opposing politicians say, we won't let him go down. If he gets this deal done, it'll be the chance of a lifetime. It'll be the chance of the entire state of the modern state of Israel. So that's what's going on behind the scenes. And they told the head of the UN, we'll stand with Netanyahu if he gets this deal done. Do you see the picture that's going on here? Even the opposing politicians in Israel are rooting for Trump and for Netanyahu to succeed. On September the 18th, one day before his meeting with Guterres, Trump met in New York with Netanyahu. There he surprised the Israeli leader when, at a joint press event before the meeting, he focused on the Israeli-Palestinian issue. We are going to discuss peace between Israel and the Palestinians. It will be a fantastic achievement, Trump said. We are giving it absolute go. There is a good chance it could happen. A few minutes before the meeting, Trump tweeted the same message on his Twitter account, but Netanyahu didn't share Trump's enthusiasm. His own statement to the cameras focused on the Iranian issue. So Netanyahu doesn't really like the idea of trading land for peace, apparently. He's trying to find a way to negotiate until finally something bad happens and the whole thing goes down the tubes. However, President Trump, who leads Israel's #1 ally, someone they do not want to offend, he is pushing hard for what he likes to call the ultimate deal. Now, on September the 20th, Trump met in New York with Mahmoud Abbas, the head of the Palestinians. In his statements for the cameras prior to that meeting, Trump once again sent a message of optimism, determination, and personal commitment to advancing Israeli-Palestinian peace. I think we have a pretty good shot, maybe the best shot ever, Trump said. I certainly will devote everything within my heart and within my soul to get that deal made. So we'll see if we can put it together. Who knows? Stranger things have happened. Unlike Netanyahu, Abbas cooperated with Trump's messaging and praised him repeatedly for his efforts to produce an Israeli-Palestinian breakthrough. At their meeting, Trump told Abbas that the White House was working on a new peace initiative, but needed more time to finalize it. Palestinian sources briefed on what happened at the meeting said at the time that Trump had asked Abbas to give him the extra time he needed by refraining for the time being from any steps that could impede such an initiative. Now, listen to this. This is important. Abbas had pushed Trump and his negotiators. All right, you've listened to us for 8 months. You've listened to Israel for 8 months. You know where all of the difficulties are. We want you to present a plan now, an American plan. That's what Trump is referring to when he says, give us a few weeks. So those few weeks are ticking slowly by right now. I don't know what a few weeks will entail, but it appears they're expecting the American plan yet this year. So when America puts forth its plan, will Israel be able to resist it? Many people in Israel will urge Netanyahu to accept the offer. It's going to be very interesting to see what comes together. Now, I know where we're headed ultimately because the Bible tells us. The Bible tells us explicitly that we are headed toward a peace agreement between Palestinians and Israelis. Will it happen under Trump's tenure or under Netanyahu's tenure or under Mahmoud Abbas's tenure? I cannot tell you that, but I can tell you it's going to happen. Now, Trump says this is Israel's best chance ever because they got the best friend they've ever had in the White House, and I think that that is true. So he fully intends to try to bring this deal to pass. Now, if successful, and some people think it could happen yet this year. How much of this year is left? Part of October, November, December. So if he gets this done, according to the prophecy of the Bible, the final 7 years to Armageddon will begin. Now, I've been following this 52 years closely. I have been following the events since Trump took office in January the 20th of this year. It looks like to me there's a better chance right now than ever has been before. Now, I cannot prophesy that we're going to get the deal done under the Trump administration. I can tell you for absolute sure that it's going to get done. But it looks like to me, in agreement with President Trump, that this is the best chance ever. So let's say they get the deal done. You and me enter the final 7 years to Armageddon. Got a very personal question. What's your plan for the final 7 years? We all should have one because it is coming. And it could very well happen within a matter of weeks or months. Our plan here at End Time Ministries is to step on the gas of world evangelism like never, ever before. Because the first month after this agreement is signed, we have plans to send 2.4 million magazines out, one to every single home in Israel. There are 2.4 million homes in Israel at my last count. We've already been to the largest printer in Israel to see if they can handle the work. They assure us they can. They also have the ability to deliver them to every mailbox. So we are getting all set because the magazine's going to say, warning, final 7 years to Armageddon just began. What to do? See inside. It's going to pull the trigger on the greatest revival that the nation of Israel has ever known. So we're super excited. Furthermore, we're not going to stop there because within the first 3 years or so of this agreement, a Jewish temple is going to be built on the Temple Mount. The agreement is going to provide for the sharing of the Temple Mount between Muslims and Jews. So Israel is going to have the chance to build her third temple, and then they're going to resume animal sacrifices, and then the Antichrist will be revealed halfway through this final 7 year period. He'll stop the sacrifices and claim to be the Messiah and the God of the world. That's called the abomination of desolation. And it's that time that the Jews living out there in the territory that is going to become a Palestinian state, when the agreement is struck, they're going to have to run for their lives. So we got big plans. However, we're not waiting for the agreement to be signed because we are implementing a software that will enable us to minister to the entire world and to field millions of phone calls coming in here. We are making plans to enact that software. The software is expensive. It's $200,000. But I'm very glad to report to you today that so far you have donated $152,805.86, which means we only have $47,194.14 to go. Wouldn't you like to just wipe this out over the next few days? I would, because we're going to step on the gas and implement this software as fast as we possibly can. Orders coming in, requests coming in will all be entered into our books, automated through this software. We now have to do it by hand. It is going to enable us to minister to the world as never before. So it's really critical. Even though it's expensive, we looked at it and decided we have to do this now. So thank you for supporting us. $152,805 so far, but we're still $47,194 short. So $47,194 short. What would do it? If we got 94 people to give $500 apiece, that would do it. 94 people. So if you're out there and God's blessed you where you could do that, please do it now. Or maybe you want to do much more. Maybe you want to give $5,000, $10,000. Obviously, that'll bring the total down very rapidly. Now, we've had some people give larger gifts and many people smaller. It doesn't really matter the size. Give what you feel in your heart. But please pray about this. We got to get this thing in and implemented. We just had a staff meeting about it this morning, and we're all so urgent to pull the trigger and get this thing done. So if you're out there, please pick up the phone and call us right now, 1-800-END-TIME, 1-800-363-8463, 1-800-END-TIME. Or if you'd prefer to do it online, go to endtime.com and click the donate button and enter what you want to do there. Listen, folks. You've been fabulous. It was a big goal. What's it taken us? A few weeks. It's not been easy, but nevertheless, we're just about over the hill. What are we? We're 3/4 of the way there. So one more big shove. If you're out there and God's blessed you and you've already given, but you can do it again, then please do that as well. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Not one penny goes to me. I think you understand that. So this is for the Lord, for His work, for the final end time thrust. The most exciting 7 years in the history of the world. You and I are going to participate. And before it's over with, who knows what we're going to do together to reach this world. Here's what I do know. Jesus said, this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world. Then shall the end come. So God's going to use, I believe, this software. We made this decision very carefully and very prayerfully. Let me finish what is coming to us from Haaretz newspaper. A few days after he returned from New York, Netanyahu convened the security cabinet in Israel and briefed the ministers on his meeting with Trump. He told them Trump was working on a peace plan, and his impression was that the president was very determined to advance it. Now, this is the words of Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel. The Americans are preparing a plan, and I presented our positions to the president. Trump is very determined, and he wants to make the ultimate deal. The words of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. So that's where we are right now. Now, here's another big development. Do you remember, what was it, 2006, 2007? There was an election held in the Palestinian areas, including Gaza. Well, Hamas won the election, and Mahmoud Abbas was the president. So they won the election. That means they're going to dominate the parliament of the Palestinians, and Abbas was ready to let them do that. But they got drunk on their own power, and they decided to drive Abbas out. And they drove him out in just a day or two. He had to run for his life and had to get up in the West Bank area. So from that time until today, the Palestinians have ruled the West Bank and Hamas has ruled Gaza. But it created a huge problem because now if you make peace with Mahmoud Abbas and the Palestinians, you still have a bitter enemy on your southern border down in Gaza. And there's been 3 wars over the last 10 or 15 years with Hamas. So it muddied the waters. What if we get a peace deal with Abbas? We still don't really have peace. Let me tell you the rest of the story. This article comes from Debka File just yesterday. Israel hears nothing, says nothing about Palestinian love fest in Gaza. There was deep satisfaction in Cairo and Washington over the warm smiles and cordial handshakes marking the ceremonial handover of the Gazan administration from Hamas to the Fatah-dominated Palestinian Authority on Monday, October the 2nd, 2 days ago, after a decade of bitter enmity. Egypt, father of the reconciliation, and the United States were favorably impressed by the ecstatic welcome accorded Palestinian Prime Minister Rami Hamdallah and his retinue of dozens of high officials from Ramallah, that's the headquarters of the Palestinian Authority, when they crossed into the Gaza Strip after passing through Israel. Palestinian and Egyptian flags fluttered from buildings in Gaza now, where the Palestinian Authority has not been in control, but now they're flying the flags of the Palestinians, the flags of the Egyptians, and large photos of Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi and Palestinian leader Mahmoud Abbas bedecked the honking cars driving slowly through Gaza City. But U.S. President Donald Trump's Middle East envoy, Jason Greenblatt, sounded a cautious note when he tweeted the next day, the U.S. is watching developments closely with the aim of improving humanitarian conditions in Gaza, he said. The United States stresses that any Palestinian government must unambiguously and explicitly commit to non-violence, recognition of the State of Israel, acceptance of previous agreements and obligations between the parties, and peaceful negotiations. By this message, Greenblatt touched on the sticking points still ahead of Palestinian unity negotiations. The first round of formal negotiations to bury the hatchet between the two Palestinian factions therefore ended in a standoff. Hamas leaders later complained they did not get the chance to raise the most burning issue for them, which was the lifting of sanctions the PA, the Palestinian Authority, had imposed on the Gaza Strip. It's cut off funds to Hamas, and it keeps the population painfully short of such basic needs as electricity. The next round of talks is scheduled to take place next week in Cairo. While Egypt and the U.S. are powering the Palestinian reconciliation process, Israel has no say. Behind the scenes, Israel has been helpful with the technical arrangements. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, for instance, directed the Israeli Defense Forces to allow the delegation from Ramallah to pass through Israel and enter the Gaza Strip through the Erez crossing and return by the same route. What's this all about? That means the Trump peace train is moving forward. It's going to be exciting. If you'd like to be a partner with End Time Ministries in these exciting days, 800 End Time is the number to call.
Move Mountains with Irvin Baxter, the new book by Irvin's grandson, provides 30 days of devotion that will enhance your connection to God and others. Authentic illustrations from early morning devotions at End Time will help you identify areas in your life where you can be more intentional and ultimately discover your purpose. Commit to taking this 30-day journey and experience real life change. Pre-order for only $25.99 at endtime.com/move and get free bonus items worth over $100. Go to endtime.com/move today.
Have you signed up for your trip of a lifetime? Prophecy will come to life as you walk through Israel with Irvin Baxter. Space is limited. Our extended deadline to sign up is October 5th. Call 1-800-END-TIME, that's 1-800-363-8463, or go to endtime.com to experience Israel as never before. Don't miss this amazing tour. Our deadline is quickly approaching. Sign up today.
You can now become a magazine subscriber for life. You will receive first-class benefits that will include a lifetime membership to End Time magazine, as well as an unlimited access to the digital version of the magazine. You will also receive 20% off of all future orders at endtime.com. Join today by calling 1-800-END-TIME. That's 1-800-363-8463, or go to endtime.com.
If your station only carries the first 30 minutes of End of the Age, go to endtime.com and click the Watch button to continue today's broadcast. You can also finish up later by clicking the Archives button.
Ladies and gentlemen, did you hear what I just heard? That the deadline for signing up for our trip to Israel, which will leave on October the 31st, the extended deadline. Did she say the 5th or the 6th? Now, today's the 4th. If you want to jump on this incredible tour with Judy, myself, and other End Time staff members, well, pick up the phone and call today. Don't wait another day, because you will possibly be left behind. So if you're still interested in going, pick up the phone and call 1-800-END-TIME and ask to speak to someone about the tour. My daughter, Jana, oversees all the tours, and her daughter, Holly, also helps with those tours. One of those two will help you, and they'll explain everything to you. We've done it many, many times. We know where all the pitfalls are. We know how to get the wrinkles out. So if you're out there and you still want to go, don't wait another day, okay? Because we may have to tell you. I didn't know whether Holly said the 5th or the 6th, so don't take a chance. Just go ahead and do it today and give us a call, 1-800-END-TIME, and we'd love to have you go with us. Judy and I make wonderful new friends. There's no way to make friends as good as on one of these tours, because we're with you from morning to night. We're on the buses with you. I speak to both buses together at all the big sites. We have breakfast together. We have dinner together. We have lunch together. So we're together almost the entire time. It's going to be an incredible time. So if you can go, don't miss it. You say, is it safe? Tourism is at an all-time high. It's absolutely safe. Now, some of the reports you hear coming out of Israel, you hear of a skirmish between Israelis and Arabs a little bit. That has nothing to do with the tourist trade. I do not know of one tourist fatality over the last 30 years. 6 million people have gone over there as tourists, no fatalities. Now, that's when you're on an organized tour like ours. If you decide to go over there and rent a car and go wandering down to Gaza or into Ramallah, then I can't guarantee you anything. But as far as with us, yes, it is perfectly safe. I've been there 30 times, and I'm totally comfortable with it. As a matter of fact, I feel safer there sometimes than I do right here in Dallas or in other places. Surely I wouldn't want to go to Chicago, because that's a really, really dangerous place. Well, anyway, let's get back to our subject. If you want to go, 800-END-TIME, call it now. Let's now continue on. Netanyahu instructed government members to refrain from commenting on the historic Fatah-Hamas get-together in Gaza. Netanyahu explained in confidence that his policy is to hear nothing, see nothing, and say nothing on the subject, because at long last, after years of frozen immobility, the Palestinian Authority has finally roused itself and made some political move. While he does not expect anything much to come of it, he would not want to give the Americans or the Egyptians any cause to blame Israel for tripping it up. So that's a huge development just now happening. But I've got to tell you about one more thing. The president of Egypt, Mr. Al-Sisi, is the person who's driving all this. This article comes from Israel National News just yesterday. Sisi says Hamas and the Palestinian Authority reconciliation opportunity is for regional peace, not just Israeli-Palestinian peace. You know that President Trump has been working for a regional peace. He went to Saudi Arabia. He spoke to 50 Arab leaders there. And now then Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Egypt, Jordan, they're all saying, we'll join in the peace process. We'll sign the peace treaty with the Palestinians. So it's not just the Palestinians left out there on their own. Now all of us are going to come together, and we're all going to make peace with Israel. So that's what's going on here. Let me tell you a little bit more about it. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has said reconciliation between the Palestinian Authority and Hamas could be an opportunity for wider regional peace, and called for global support for the initiative. That's worldwide support. The whole world is waiting for your efforts to achieve reconciliation among the Palestinian people, and appreciates your determination to address all obstacles, Sisi said in a pre-recorded speech addressing the two main Palestinian Arab movements on Tuesday. That's today. There is a chance to realize, actually today is Wednesday, there's a chance to realize peace in the region, providing all the parties are united. The video was played as Egyptian intelligence head Khalid Fazi met with Hamas and Palestinian Authority leaders in the Gaza Strip. So he sends his intelligence head up there to meet with these two entities, and he sends a recorded video along with his intelligence leader. Cairo has been the key backer in attempts to bring the two sides together, and Sisi called for more support. I am confident the major world powers, when they see the Palestinian parties are fully aware of the nature of this phase and the importance of dialogue to achieve the goal of peace, will help to realize this peace. He added, Hamas has ruled Gaza since a violent overthrow of the Palestinian Authority in 2007, but last month agreed after Egyptian mediation to hand over civilian rule. Israel, however, says it will reject any deal between the two factions in which Hamas is allowed to keep its weapons. Big sticking point. Hamas has fought 3 wars since 2008 against the state of Israel. So what's the change all of a sudden? There's a big change. What's driving it? Well, this article comes from the Jerusalem Post just yesterday. Abbas says Palestinian Authority must control everything in Gaza, including security. Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas on Monday said he would not accept a scenario in the Gaza Strip in which Hamas's armed wing would be able to hold on to its weapons. So Abbas is saying, you're not going to be able to keep your weapons. Then he continues, everything needs to be in the hands of the Palestinian Authority, Abbas told Egypt's CBC, a popular Arabic television station, in an interview. I'll be even more clear. I will not accept reproducing the Hezbollah experience. We are one state, one system, one law, and one weapon. Hezbollah maintains control of a number of militias in Lebanon over which the Lebanese state does not have control. Abbas's remarks highlighted the sharp difference of opinion between him and Hamas's leadership on the future of Gaza's security. Last week, both Hamas deputy chief in Gaza, Khalil al-Hayya, and Hamas Politburo member Musa Abu Marzouk said that the weapons of Hamas's armed wing are not up for discussion. No bartering, no touching the weapons of the resistance, Hayya said in an interview with Al Jazeera last Wednesday evening. We will fight the occupation with all means of resistance until it is wiped away. But Hamas says that he will imprison anyone other than the Palestinian Authority who possesses weapons. If someone from Hamas has a weapon, I'll put him in prison. Period. Also, if someone from Fatah has a weapon, I'll put him in prison, he said. In other words, we're going to renounce violence. In past reconciliation attempts, Abbas's party, Fatah, and Hamas failed to reach an agreement on the issue of Gaza's security. The Palestinian Authority president also suggested that Hamas's recent efforts to advance reconciliation do not relate to a transformation in ideology, but rather financial considerations. Now we get down where the rubber meets the road. Financial considerations. What's that about? Well, over the past 5 months, Abbas has slashed budgets allocated to Gaza for electricity, medical services, employee salaries, and other purposes to pressure Hamas to give up control of the territory. You see, the world community pays Abbas and the Palestinian Authority, and then they have been paying different people down in Gaza. Well, now all of a sudden, they're tightening down on the money. And money answereth to all things. The love of money is the root of all evil. So now all of a sudden, the people of Gaza are screaming because their source of livelihood has been cut off by Mahmoud Abbas. That's what's bringing this whole thing together. Listen, we halted our budget. We pay $1.5 billion annually to Hamas. We decided not to pay. So Hamas said the best thing is to return to unity, Abbas said. He added that he would be prepared to restore the various budgets once Hamas enables the Palestinian Authority government to exercise its authority over the Gaza Strip. When the interviewer asked what he meant by Hamas enabling the Palestinian Authority government in Gaza, he responded that the PA has to take responsibility for Gaza in the same way as it has in the West Bank. The PA dominates the areas of the West Bank under Palestinian control. Abbas also said that if Hamas wants to be admitted to the PLO, it would have to abide by its policies. The PLO is the overarching Palestinian body recognized by Israel and the international community as the sole and legitimate representative of the Palestinian people. When they want to join the PLO, they have to reconcile with and commit to PLO's policies, Abbas said. In previous reconciliation attempts, Hamas said it would like to join the organization but refused to back its policies, which include recognition of the State of Israel. At the end of the interview, Abbas said that while he wishes for an independent Palestinian state, he believes it will not be established in the near future. I am optimistic that the time will come in which we get an independent Palestinian state, but not anytime soon, he said. We don't deceive each other or sell illusions to anyone. The issue is difficult. We are standing in front of a difficult and narrow-minded right-wing government that rejects peace, the existence of the Palestinian people, and the Palestinian state. Of course, he's referring to Netanyahu's government. Abbas stated further that while Israel is in control, he plans to continue to move forward incrementally in building the Palestinian state. We are building the Palestinian state brick by brick, he said. I mean, when we received Interpol the other day, the Palestinian Authority was just received and admitted to Interpol, the interpolice, the international police, we placed a brick. When we received UNESCO membership, we placed a brick. The Palestinians were accepted as member of Interpol last week and UNESCO in 2011. My point today, the Trump peace train has left the station and is gathering impetus. Two things. Go to Israel with Judy and I. You got 1 or 2 days to call us. The number to call, 800-END-TIME. At the same time, help us to go over the top. We need $48,000 to secure the software we need, the End Time software. It's going to be vital to us as we reach this world in the last 7 years. Call us, 800-END-TIME. You can now become a magazine subscriber for life. You will receive first-class benefits that will include a lifetime membership to End Time magazine, as well as an unlimited access to the digital version of the magazine. You will also receive 20% off of all future orders at endtime.com. Join today by calling 1-800-END-TIME. That's 1-800-363-8463, or go to endtime.com.
Move Mountains with Irvin Baxter, the new book by Irvin's grandson, provides 30 days of devotion that will enhance your connection to God and others. Authentic illustrations from early morning devotions at End Time will help you identify areas in your life where you can be more intentional and ultimately discover your purpose. Commit to taking this 30-day journey and experience real-life change. Pre-order for only $25.99 at endtime.com/move and get free bonus items worth over $100. Go to endtime.com/move today.
Listen closely, everyone in the Wisconsin area, near Milwaukee, or even if you're in the adjoining states. I will be speaking this weekend, Sunday morning and Sunday evening, at the Parkway Apostolic Church in Oak Creek, Wisconsin. It's a suburb of Milwaukee. I will be speaking on Sunday morning at 10 a.m., Sunday night at 6 p.m., and I'm going to be preaching in those services. They have asked me if I will just back up and just preach. And then on Monday, we'll be having a prophecy conference. I'll be speaking on From Here to Armageddon. If you've not heard that message, catch a plane and meet us there. Whatever you've got to do, drive 5 or 6 hours, which, by the way, is common at our conferences. People do it all the time. Anyway, on Monday evening at 7 o'clock, same location at the Parkway Apostolic Church. The address is 10940 South Nicholson Road in Oak Creek, Wisconsin. All this information is on our website. Go to endtime.com, click on the event button, and point to the conferences. You'll see all the information there, and we would love for you to join us. So please do not forget. Very important. Wow, there's so much on the docket today that I've got to get to. So I'll tell you what, let me get back to it right now before I forget everything. Let's get back to this article. In a second interview with Egypt's On TV, Abbas indicated that if Hamas was to win future elections, he would not oppose Hamas running a future Palestinian government. If Hamas wins legislative and presidential elections, I would wish them congratulations, he said. Now remember, they won the elections by quite a majority, but they did not win the presidential election. At that time, Mahmoud Abbas was the president, and he was not up for election. They won the parliamentary election, but they took advantage of their overwhelming mandate to simply drive Mahmoud Abbas out. Well, he was supposed to have elections within another 3 or 4 years, but he just decided to skip those elections because he knew he would not win, and all the confusion that was caused by the coup which drove him out of Gaza. He has not had an election since that time. Nevertheless, he's talking now. If we get this deal done, we'll schedule elections. If Hamas wins, they'll rule. But before Hamas can do this deal, they have got to agree that Israel has a right to exist. So if they agree that Israel has a right to exist, they lay down their arms, they join back together. I don't know whether this is going to happen or not. Nevertheless, that's what's in the works right now. They have another meeting this coming week. Now, Abbas said that he did exactly that in 2006 when Hamas won legislative elections. He accepted it. After Hamas won a majority of seats in the Palestinian parliament in 2006, one of its leaders, Ismail Haniyeh, formed a government. Nonetheless, after Hamas forcibly took control of Gaza in 2007, Abbas dissolved Haniyeh's government. And so they have been at loggerheads ever since. The Palestinian Authority president, Mahmoud Abbas, also said he was informed that the U.S. has no opposition to what is happening regarding Fatah-Hamas reconciliation. He said that he thanked U.S. President Donald Trump on the sidelines of the UN in September for his efforts on Palestinian reconciliation, who he said responded, "You're welcome." Now, U.S. Middle East peace envoy Jason Greenblatt said on Monday that while the Trump administration supports efforts to restore the Palestinian Authority's control over Gaza, any Palestinian government must commit to nonviolence, recognition of Israel, and previously signed agreements. So as you can see, there are major new developments in the Middle East. Now, this is not really a new trend because it's been happening ever since President Trump took office in January of 2017. Within 10 days, he already had people that were ready to go. Now, we don't have much time left because I took a lot of your time. However, we have a lot of callers that are waiting to talk to us. I'm going to try to get through quickly your different calls. We're going to go immediately to Mark calling from Ohio. Hello, Mark. What's on your mind?
Hey, brother. How you doing?
I'm wonderful. Thank you.
I've been questioning the Ezekiel 38 war with the nations that are listed there that will attack Israel. Is that different from the war at Armageddon? And if so, when is the Ezekiel 38 war supposed to be taking place?
Mark, it's not different. That is the Battle of Armageddon. How do we know? Because in Ezekiel 39, verse 17 through 20, the Lord invites the beasts of the field and the fowls of the air to the great supper of our God, where you will eat the flesh of kings, captains, and mighty men. Go to the account of Armageddon in Revelation 19, verse 17 through 20. And there the same call goes out to the beasts of the field, the fowls of the air, to come eat the flesh of kings, captains, and mighty men. Both of these things describe the battle of Armageddon. Now in Ezekiel chapter 38, you have Russia, Iran, Ethiopia, Libya, Turkey, all listed there. Those are the kings of the east that are described in Revelation chapter 16 under the sixth vial which is opened. The Bible says that God will gather the kings of the east down against Israel for the battle of Armageddon. So Ezekiel 38, Revelation 16, and Revelation 19 are all referring to the battle of Armageddon.
All right, well, praise the Lord. Hey, I went and saw you in Indianapolis last month. It was really good. Appreciate it a lot.
Oh, thank you very much. Lord bless you.
Right.
Let's go now. We got a lot of Facebook messages coming in. When on the timeline will God close the door of mercy and grace? Well, I believe that there will be preaching all the way up till 3 days before the rapture, 3.5 days. And while there's yet preaching, there's still time. So I cannot tell you explicitly when the door will shut. Of course, when the rapture happens, the Bible says, once the master of the house has risen up and shut to the door, then no man can open it. So in Matthew chapter 24, verse 29 through 31, it talks about the rapture when the Lord will send his angels to gather his elect. And it says of that time, 2 will be in the field, 1 taken, the other left. 2 will be grinding at the mill, 1 taken, the other left. And then it says, be you also ready, for in such an hour as you think not, your Lord doth come. But I will say this to everybody, do not wait, because you never know. Somebody that is drunk may come across the white line and hit you head on before this day is over. You may go into eternity today. So may I. Your heart may fail you sometime this week. You don't know. But if you're ready, it's still okay. So be ye also ready, for in such an hour as you think not, your Lord doth come. Liz is another Facebook viewer. And she says, according to Daniel 9:27, will the Antichrist be the one to make the deal? The Antichrist will participate in the deal. The Bible says that he will confirm the covenant with many for 7 years. So the Antichrist will be involved. The Bible says the Antichrist will make a deal with many. So Egypt's going to be there, Saudi Arabia is going to be there, Bahrain is going to be there, United Arab Emirates is going to be there, Jordan, Egypt is going to be there. So we don't know for sure who all will be involved. The United Nations will probably be involved. Russia could well be involved. So we do not know for sure of those that are going to cooperate in the deal. It'll be a regional deal, undoubtedly. We don't know for sure which one will be the Antichrist. But it appears from the passage in Daniel 9:27 that the Antichrist will be involved in this peace deal. Let's go now to Xavier from Facebook as well. How do we know that this is the deal the Bible is talking about? Good question, and that's an important question. Here's how we know. The peace deal described in the Bible will create a Palestinian state in the West Bank. That's in the area of Judea. Also, the Jews living out there will be allowed to stay out there living as a Jewish minority in the new Palestinian state. Number 3, the Temple Mount is going to be placed under a sharing arrangement. That means Muslims, Jews, and probably Christians will all be allowed to worship there. And the Jews will be allowed to build their temple. The Bible's very clear that the Jews will have a temple on the Temple Mount. The temple will be built during the first 3.5 years of this agreement. All of those things are under discussion in these negotiations. I've been following them closely for a long time. All of those things are under discussion. Recently, Benjamin Netanyahu addressed what will we do with all the Jews living out in the territory that will become the Palestinian state. He proposed that enclaves could be created. An enclave is a territory belonging to a state but is surrounded by territory from another state, like Berlin was for a while. There are 20 enclaves in the world right now like that. They are surrounded by other territory, but they really are part of a state. Now, Benjamin Netanyahu proposed that just within the last month or two. So that's the way we're going to know. When all those conditions are met and it's opened up for the Jews to build their temple on the Temple Mount, we will know for certain that is the deal that launches the final 7 years to the Battle of Armageddon. Okay, let's go one more time. Vera is contacting us from Facebook. What are your thoughts on the son of Hamas and his remarks at the UN? I read those remarks quickly. I read them through, but I did not spend a lot of time reflecting upon them. However, it appears that he has his eyes wide open, that he was admonishing the United Nations that they should not be so anti-Israeli and so pro-Arab. Now, again, before I make too many comments, Vera, I would need to go back and read that all over again. But that's my best off-the-cuff reply to you. I read so much stuff that I don't remember all the details about his remarks, but I remember that they shocked the United Nations because he was rebuking the UN Human Rights Council for being so slanted against Israel and being so pro-Arabic. So that's what I remember about it. Hope I'm accurate on that one. Well, our time has come and gone today, but let me take this moment to wrap up and to tell all of you that either tomorrow or the next day is the last day to sign up for our trip to Israel. So if you're not in yet, this is your lucky day. If you want to go to Israel with Judy and I, it's a 12-day trip. It's a prophecy tour. You not only get the history, you're going to get the prophecy. You're going to find out what's going to happen as well as what has happened. This could be the last. You never know. They may get this deal before we leave. We could be the first trip that will be there after the peace agreement is signed, or we may be the last trip before the peace agreement is signed. I cannot tell you, but I promise you, you will feel the vibes. And I would encourage you, if you can at all, go. Whatever you got to do, go with us. It'll change your life. I promise you, when you stand on the place where Jesus is going to come back to, there on the Mount of Olives, and you will. We do it every single trip. It will amaze you when you look with your own eyes at all the furniture that's already prepared for the building of the third temple. It will astound you. So if you can go with us, give us a call. 1-800-END-TIME is the number to call. And don't forget, we're $48,000 short on our critical software drive, preparing End Time to minister to the world over the next 7 years. Please help us get over the top, whatever you can give. Please do it. The number to call, 800-END-TIME, or you can do that online. Go to endtime.com, enter how much you want to give, and we will be so happy. I think we're going to make it over the top pretty quickly now. Please help us. 800-END-TIME is the number to call. God bless you all. I'll see you tomorrow.
End of the Age is a production of End Time Ministries. This broadcast will be available on our website, endtime.com, in the archives section. On our website, you'll also find more information about how current events are fulfilling Bible prophecy. To reach our operators, call 1-800-END-TIME. That's 1-800-363-8463. End Time Ministries is partner supported. We would like to say thank you to our partners who made this broadcast possible. To do what Matthew 24:14 said, to reach the world with the gospel of the kingdom.